So let's read this. This
This
is
is from Transactions of the Blavatsky Lodge.
it
This
is, and
Pure
this is
Theosophy right here from the top cat.
sleep and death are brothers. Before we get into it, let's talk about that concept of sleep and death being brothers. Like, so what I think is that every night when you go to bed, do you lose complete sense of self?
I don't think
To a
so.
large degree, would you?
I don't think so.
I mean, does your ego have to die whenever you fall asleep?
Well, Carl Jung said that in dreams, if we're dreaming about ourselves, that's normal. If you're dreaming about yourself suffering or running or having a hard time, that's normal. If you're dreaming about yourself being successful or, being above everyone else and being powerful above everyone else, that's normal. What's not normal is when you find yourself dreaming about things that are really not associated with you or a part of your psyche. And then those are the things you need to look at. So to me, sleep and death being brothers makes sense because I think sleep is really a connection to what we're really going to experience at the moment of death. Sleep is actually showing us these are the things you're going to see when you're dying. When you're regretting and when you're remembering, these are the experiences you're going to see. And when we're having dreams, they're not realistic, because they're not things that we're actually being a part of. But they will be, and that's the thing is you're manifesting that as you live. And it's trying to teach you this is what you're going to see when you die. And you might want to work on that. You might want to take that consciousness, which is connected with death, and use it to adjust what you're doing now. And that's kind of the way I see all this as being, using Carl Jung as a template. His book Dreams was great,
Yeah. The way I look at this is that when you fall asleep, one thing, have you ever tried to stay conscious?
Sure, of course.
Exactly. So, but what you realize is you can't do it. And the reason why you can't do it is because your ego cannot follow you into sleep. Your ego literally has to die. And so
it goes to the waiting room.
It goes to the waiting room. So I think that in that sense, that the death of who you think you are definitely has to not exist in order for you to even sleep.
Right.
So the death of who you think. And so if you believe in the existence of a higher, of an afterlife, if you believe that when you die that you remain to some degree conscious, the idea is that consciousness that you are post-death is the same consciousness that you have when you are sleeping. So in that sense, every single night that you fall asleep, you actually die. And so you've been dead 1/3 of your life, because 1/3 of your life you are asleep. So this is very interesting, and this is not a concept that is obviously
that's the Book
new.
of the Dead. The Egyptians,
right,
believe that.
Right, and so it's to a large degree. There's a any type of religion, any type of theist, or anything that believes in life after death, right? And so in this, what we're going to research here is that Blavatsky says, if we admit that the existence of a higher or permanent ego in us, which ego must not be confused with what we call higher self, we can comprehend that we often regard as dreams, generally accepted as idle fancies, are in truth stray pages torn out from the life and experiences of the inner man, and the dim recollection of which at the moment of awakening becomes more or less distorted by our physical memory.
It's a clash of the titans, man. It's a clash of your memories. When you go to sleep, nothing is sacred. Everything is game.
Exposed, right?
Yeah. You're not gonna lie. You're not gonna tell people you're something that you're not, or tell them you're not something you are. In your sleep, you're exposed for everything you are, and that's what the ego hates. The ego hates that because, it's like in the waiting room, the ego's sitting there going, "Well, I'm powerless here." Everything I might have learned during the day is gone. I'm just sitting here and I can't wait for reality to come back so I can fool this idiot into doing the stupid stuff that he's going to do today.
Yeah. So
that's kind of how I see it.
In another podcast that we recently posted, we
Yeah.
talked about consciousness being a state of, kind of like the resting state of reality. Well, this to me, it brings up another concept is that when you fall asleep, what you're doing is that you're sending information back into the feed loop system, right?
Right.
You're
Right.
basically downloading your day into your higher self's reality, whatever that might be, maybe your post-mortem reality, and it is kind of calculating the things that it's done, and then the output of that is a mythic, conceptual imagery
It's a
that
dream state. Yeah.
it's a dream state. But those images relate to mythic images.
Hmm.
This is how we have to understand. This is why we created myths, and this is where astrotheology comes
How
from.
many
Because
times have you dreamed something that happened that day?
right, and there's also things like deja vu and experiences
Right.
that are very very common. But my point is that mythic structure is dream structure, and that collective myth, which we may call other people's religion,
Right.
is the expression of collective archetypes, like larger common structures that exist, is the foundation of the structure of the human mind, right? In certain particular groups, right? So you have this mythos that exists in these regions because it's a expression of these psychic phenomenons, and dreams are part of this. This is why it's a more personal mythic structure. This is what's happening whenever you're dreaming. You're dreaming your mythos and your particular individual religion. And if you understand the archetypes within your own self, and you understand what's going on in your dreams and learn how to interpret these things, you will understand your own mythos, and that is your own personal constellation. That's your own
Yep.
astrotheology.
Dreams are
And this
repetitive too.
dreams
Keep
they
happening.
are.
Yeah. You're
And they
gonna
say
have the same dream. It's gonna be in different places. The same thing's gonna be happening though. Say for me as an engineer, a boat that I worked on dies, and you're heading for a waterfall. And it's like I always have this vision of something I worked on, and it's going to break down and it's going to cause this problem. And a lot of times you also got to look at, is your dream in the dark or is it light? What time of day is it? When are these things happening? There's so much to really look into as far as dreams are concerned that people just don't, because they don't want to really admit that dreams are sort of like the trial for yourself,
That's right. They're your personal mythos.
Yep.
And so listen to Blavatsky here. For our ego lives its own separate life within its prison of clay whenever it becomes free from the trammels of matter. It says during the sleep of the physical man, the ego, which is not the actor, the real man, the true human self, but the physical man cannot feel or be conscious during dreams. So the ego can't survive dreams, is what we just talked about.
Yep.
For the personality, the outer man, with its brain and thinking apparatus, are paralyzed more or less completely.
In the waiting room.
They're in the waiting room. So sleep and death are brothers, according to the old Greek proverb. However, they are not merely brothers, but they're born of the same fabric of the human consciousness, but in all verity one and identical. There's a saying that if you can understand yourself during dreams, you will never die. And that's actually what the Tibetans have when they tried to do this whole lucid dreaming techniques, and they meet each other in these lucid dreams, and there's this whole idea that these people have threads, this golden thread that leaves the spirit out, and that
isn't there some kind of liquid they drink or something, like a milk that's hallucinogenic too, to go along with that?
Yeah, or even the psychedelic state. We experience. Yeah. A lot of this is the same territory.
We're
talking about.
Really you gotta look at all the different aspects, and a lot of the stuff the theosophers and the people like her were coming up with back then were drug induced. They were doing cocaine, they were doing heroin, they were taking hallucinogenic drugs. A lot of people don't realize that these visions that people like Blavatsky and all these other theosophists had weren't just spawned on by their being really smart people at a period when others were dumb. They were during the time when drug experimentation was becoming a really big deal, and people were using it just like ayahuasca today to open up their realization and their connection to the consciousness and start questioning all this stuff. And
that's a whole other conversation alone. Is that are these plants created for those reasons? Is there a reason that these things interact?
That's our intelligent universe, man. The intelligent universe doesn't create a plant for no reason.
That's right.
That's a good.
So
one.
It continues that death is a perfect sleep, with interim awakenings of a kind, such as in the Devachan and full human awakening and succeeding reincarnation. Sleep is an imperfect fulfillment of death, nature's prophecy of the future death. So nightly when we sleep, and therefore nightly we partially die. Indeed, one may go farther and still that say that sleep and death are, and all the various processes and realizations of initiation are but different phases or operations of consciousness, varied forms of the same fundamental thing. And that's exactly what we talked about.
Actually, highlight that again. That's a perfect sentence right there.
Sleep is largely an automatic functioning of the human consciousness.
Dude, did you see yourself highlight that? It just highlighted accidentally.
Yeah.
That's the right. What does that tell you right there?
It's saying that death is the same, but in an immensely greater degree. And it is a necessary habit of consciousness in order that it may gain for the psychological part of the constitution a resting and a simulation of experience. Again, a resting point. The stillness, right? What would be the stillness? Perhaps the soul, right? But there's
the point where transmutation begins to take place.
That's right. And so we all have a core, and we're evolving in in this various cycle within that particular core. Very, very interesting.
I really think, I highly suggest to anyone to read Blavatsky, Isis Unveiled, pretty much anything that is written by Blavatsky. It's, you can't go wrong. You're not going to read it and feel that you didn't get something out of it. It's good stuff.
It's very, very good. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. We do want to, we really do want to encourage some communication going with these concepts. This is the place for us to all kind of talk and learn from each other.
There's some real smart people on the group, man.
It really is.
We've really been getting some great comments, some good discussions going.
Yeah, so
really stoked about that, man, because there's some really interesting, smart people there that are just waiting to unleash their knowledge on us. If
you're listening, please go to the discussion group and join the conversation, because we are really welcome to have you, and everybody there is awesome, and we want it just to be fun, exploratory, and if we can all chip in, and if you guys are really passionate, we'll get you on the show.
Not like a colonoscopy though, or anything, right?
No, not like colonoscopy.
Thank God. Don't tell a 50-year-old guy that that's exploratory things are in the future for him.
Well,
hey, don't laugh. You're next.